when my mind was completely blown. Background story. I was a third grade teacher for a couple years before coming to Korea, and my kids were really into the Percy Jackson series. They would write about them in their stories, they would act like some of the characters at recess, so naturally, I started reading them. Being the good teacher I was like, I want to invest in what my kids are studying, so I was like, I will pick up these books and I will start reading them. I read the books on the Greek gods, I read the Roman gods, I read the side series of the Egyptian gods. Now, if you read the Greek gods, it makes sense for you to read the Roman gods because there's Percy with the Greek gods, and then there's Jason with the Roman gods, and then they almost ruined it for you. You'll have to read it and figure it out on your own. So anyway, in class we did a unit on Greek mythology. Now don't worry, it was part of the curriculum. You don't have to worry that I'm not teaching what I'm supposed to be teaching just because my kids like a certain topic. Anyway, the books, I love them. I love the magic, I love the chaos, I love the fighting of evil to make things better. I love the different personalities and the beauty and the uniqueness of each of the gods. And it was so cool because the Roman gods were the same as the Greek gods, and like their abilities, kind of like they had a god of thunder and the god of lightning and a god of death and a god of war, but these gods had different names and they have different personalities. Back when I was reading these, I didn't really think about the significance of two different cultures who didn't really get along having the same gods. Different personalities, but in reality, kind of the same god. Okay, back to my mind being blown in the shower. So we had to read Revelation 4 for my Bible study, which talks about what worship looked like in heaven. In this passage, it talks about, it talks about seeing someone as brilliant as gemstones sitting on the throne. There were emeralds that circled the throne like a rainbow. There were 24 thrones in the room. From the main throne, there was a being that radiated lightning, and there was thunder rumbling from his robes and smoke coming out from it. In the room, there were 4 creatures that were each covered with eyes. One was an ox, one was a lion, one was a being with a human head, and one was an eagle. Now, what was interesting about these is that they were completely covered with eyes, front and back. I don't know about you, but if I remember correctly, this sounds kind of similar to some of the things that I read in Greek and Roman mythology. For example, Zeus, the god of the gods of Greek mythology, was the god of lightning, and lightning was literally coming from the throne in Revelation 4. Or even Jupiter, the god of the gods in Roman mythology, was almost always portrayed as holding a thunderbolt, and his animal, get this, was an eagle. Just so happened to be in the throne room there. Then there was Argus. Poor Argus, servant of Hera. This poor giant was completely covered with eyes, and his job was to make sure that Zeus wasn't sleeping around on Hera, and he didn't really do a very good job of that. Any of this sound like some things that I just mentioned a few moments ago? Then I moved on to chapter 6, which is where the seals of the scroll are broken. From there was a white horse whose rider had a crown and had flames in his eyes. There was a red horse who had a rider that was carrying a large sword that was going to bring destruction, and there was a pale green horse with the bringer of death, and a black horse holding justice, and there were a few more, but I'm not going to mention them. But I don't know about you, but that red guy reminds me a lot of Mars, or Ares, the god of war, bringer of destruction, which is, kind of interesting because our planet, the red one, Mars, is named after the Greek god of war, Mars. I don't know. I know that I'm picking and choosing what I'm looking at in Revelation, which I know is extremely dangerous to do because you can get a lot of fire from people, and I'm just picking and choosing, but it does seem like there are quite a few similarities between the two. So that was my connection to the gods. But then you have the beasts. So After they talk about the worship and like some of the people that, or the beings that you see in the throne, it talks about the unleashing of these terrors. From these terrors, one of them that was mentioned was a 7-headed, 10-horned beast coming from the sea. I don't know about you, but it sounds kind of like a hydra to me. There are also these creatures that looked like horses but had human faces and women's hair and teeth like lions. And they had tails that didn't sting like a bee, but did sting like a scorpion. Well, this doesn't really sound like a centaur, but it sounds like a really screwed up centaur. And I'm sure that there's some sort of mythical beast for it. I don't know if you've watched Hercules, but they had a lot of really weird beasts in Hercules. Now, I know that that's a cartoon, but if you look up a lot of those beasts and creatures that are in Hercules, you will also find them in Greek mythology and Roman mythology, even though that it was just Greek mythology that they were following for Hercules. Anyway, I don't know. I can't keep all the beasts straight, so you will have to figure out whether or not this man-faced, woman-haired, teeth of a lion, scorpion-tailed being was actually a creature. And haven't there also been stories of people who are on the brink of death who have seen glimpses into heaven and then miraculously either got better or lived long enough to like tell about it? It made me wonder if there are other people, maybe important or not so important, Greek, Roman, or even Egyptian people, who saw glimpses into heaven and created some of their own beliefs on it. Now, I'm not talking about current people, obviously. I'm talking about the time of Roman, Greek, and Egyptian mythology. It's not like these gods were being created after Bible times. They were being created way before Revelation was a thing, way before John was even thought of being born. So it makes me wonder if the people were shown glimpses of heaven and, in my opinion, just got it a little bit wrong. I don't know. And I'm sure I could do some more research to figure more of this out, but I'm not going to do that by the time that I want to edit and upload this video. So if you know more, please let me know and shed some light on my ignorance in the comments below. Your job now is to let me know some of the things that make your mind go. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more shower thoughts, please push like and subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. Look at it out here. It is so pretty. It is so worth it. I mean, oh my gosh.